Hello, Heri. Welcome to Metal KAOZ in Chicago.
Hi, thanks for having me. Nice to see
You're
you.
not in the middle of a gig, right?
No, we're rehearsing for the North American tour.
Nice, nice. We are waiting for you in Chicago.
We're looking forward to it. First tour in 5 years, and it's very fortunate that it is in North America, in Chicago.
Although I had those questions later, I will ask you right now. Are you planning to play any songs from Battle Ballads?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, really? Good, great.
Yeah.
And what about the orchestral parts? Of course, I expect you guys to use pre-recorded parts, correct?
That's true. We use Backtrack for that. I wish we could have the symphony orchestra with us everywhere, but it's a bit expensive, and they eat and drink a lot. We can't afford it.
Let's not feed them then. Well,
Exactly.
honestly, I was thinking if an actual keyboard player will be any help of that for that.
I had that thought once or twice, but not for this tour, no.
Okay, fair enough. So, how was the idea? How did you get the idea to use orchestral parts? Was after you worked with a live orchestra the night, the Nordic house?
That was what made us decide to put orchestrations on the album, yes. But I had been thinking about using orchestrations before that, but I just never got around to it. And I used to be very keen on the albums and the live shows sounding exactly the same. And before we used backtracks, of course, you have to make music that you can play with four guys. But I've slowly abandoned that idea, and we first started using backtracks for our choirs because we use massive choirs on album. It's just impossible to do that with four guys live. You just don't get the same mass. So we put some of that on backtrack, and then some additional guitar as well. So when you're in studio recording, you try to add more and more, and you can see that it sounds bigger and more epic. To do it live, you have to hire 5 more guitar players, or you have to use backtrack. So after we'd done the show with the symphony orchestra and released that album live at the Nordic House in 2022, it was obvious to us that the orchestration worked extremely well with our music, and we decided then to use orchestrations on our new albums as well.
Okay, so how did this change, if it changed at all, the songwriting process? I mean, did you guys work as without the orchestral parts in mind, and then you added stuff?
Exactly. We made the music just as we usually do, and I always write the music down in notation, so I can send what we have directly to the guy who makes the orchestration, and I asked him to please orchestrate the music inside our music, so it doesn't sound like it's standing next to it or put on top of it. So it sounds like the orchestration is a part of the music, and he did that beautifully. His name is Lars Winter. He's a Danish guy who lives in London, and I've worked with him before on a different project, so I knew him a little, and he did a beautiful job. I think it gives us a more epic soundscape, and it increases the impression of the music.
This sounds like it added time to finish the album. So first of all, I have to ask you, do you feel that you are losing some of your some control of your own music when you are giving that to Lars, that you gave to Lars the songs? Do you feel that you're losing something, anything?
If it were 10-15 years ago, I probably would have felt that very much, and I would have resisted that. But now, no. If he does something we don't like, we just ask him, please change that, or do something different, or no, I have no problem with giving it to him and see what he can come up with. He's a very good orchestrator, and we have changed some minor things with him. Most of it, as you hear it, is as he came up with it, and it's good to have more ears arrange the music. Also with my bandmates, we all work together on arranging the album, and I think the more people work on it, of course there has to be one person with the grand control and grand idea. But the more people's input you get, the more rounded the album will be. So I think it's good in the long run to have more people work on it than rather than fewer.
Oh, absolutely. If you may, I don't mind my saying, I think it's a very grown-up thing to do, because that in metal bands sometimes some people are very they don't like messing with their music, right? They are getting too much.
I used to be exactly like that, but I'm glad you call me a grown-up.
We are grown-ups, but not old, please. Okay.
True.
So what about the title of the album? It sounds Battle Ballads. Did you mess with the power ballads? No, I'm joking.
Yeah, every rose has its thorn, stuff like that. No, medieval ballads, songs with stories whose roots disappear into the past. We've used medieval ballads since we started the band. It's the main musical influence on my songwriting. I've used Faroese and Nordic ballads throughout, and that's the way to understand the name of this album. I didn't even think about the other meaning of ballads, the 80s and 90s hair metal thing, until someone mentioned it and pointed it out to me after I'd selected the title, Battle Ballads. But hey, maybe there's some guy who wants to hear the next Every Rose, and he finds out that he actually likes this kind of music. Could be lucky.
Sounds like a good idea for a bonus track. Okay, so
we'll cover it.
You said that everybody in the band contributed, at least in the arrangement of the songs, in the final step. But you have a new. Well, this is the first album Hans Zimmer. Oh my goodness, Hans Hammer is in the band.
Oh, would that we had Hans Zimmer for the orchestrations.
Oh boy.
Nothing wrong with Lars, but Hans Zimmer would be next level. Hans Hammer, yeah.
Oof. Okay. So what was his contribution to the sound?
Well, first he wrote one song, and the song Hammered was his musical idea. We arranged the rest of the song together, and I wrote the text. First, it had the working title Hammer, because Hans wrote it, and I write all the music before we write the lyrics. So once time came to write the lyrics, at first I tried to go with the working title, which was Hammer, and came up with the phrase Hammered, and wrote the text about forging weapons, and in a medieval sense, but also philosophically speculating about present day issues with productions of weapon and war and what it does to people, and whatever. So that was Hans's contribution. He's a very good songwriter and an extraordinarily good guitar player, as I'm sure everyone can hear from this album. And he's also a good song producer and studio technician. So he's a great addition to the band. He's a good singer too. Did I mention that?
No, you didn't. You just.
And he's incredibly handsome.
So way better than Hans Zimmer. There you go.
Yes. Nothing bad about Hans Zimmer.
Please don't sue me, Hans. I'm not putting words in your mouth, man. Come on. So with having in mind that you will be adding orchestral parts, how did the band manage to keep the music still straightforward and catchy without, overcomplicating things?
Actually, to tell you the truth, we didn't think about the orchestrations while we were making the music. We did what we usually do in the music composition, and simply asked Lars to add orchestral music that fitted inside our music, and it made no difference to our process at all. Maybe only with the song that has some orchestrations that stands alone with Torshilsdottir.
Okay,
it's the 5th or 6th track. I don't remember. I think it's the 5th track, and that was already composed for the live show that we did with the Symphony Orchestra of the Faroes. So that had some impact on how we finished the rest of the song for this album. But apart from that, it didn't complicate anything, and it was pretty straightforward as usual for us.
Great. I will try to pronounce Velkommen for Oyjar.
Perfect, man. Perfect.
Oh man, I feel better. So was this song written in the past?
Yeah.
Oh,
So the melody is a Danish traditional melody, and the lyrics were written, I don't know, 150 or 200 years ago by a Faroese folklorist and politician, and it's a kind of, I would say, a lighthearted party song that I've been working on for at least 5 or 6 years now, trying to arrange it properly, and no, maybe more than 6 years, because this song was around for the last album, Hel, but I didn't have a version that I was satisfied with. So finally, when we were making this album, I had a version that I thought could work. It was very difficult, and I changed it around completely many times, and I'm satisfied with what we have.
awesome.
So yeah, it was written both melody and lyrics a long time ago.
So in Dragons Never Die, there is around at the middle of the song, there is a part that almost reminds of a classical piece, but I could not figure out if I was correct. So is there a sort of reference there to an actual classical piece?
No, not on
Okay.
purpose. I see what you mean. It could be a classical piece, maybe Vivaldi or something.
Right.
But I've stolen a lot from Vivaldi over the years. But this one, I see it could be similar, but I at least I didn't steal it on purpose.
No, come on, man. Stolen.
Yes, like a thief in the night.
So you have released 2 killer videos. And I don't know what's happening, but Tadeusz seems to have some anger issues.
Yes, it's his. The video is his application for a new band. Drummer looking for a new band, please. Dealing with my anger issues.
But seriously, though, how much is the band involved in the making of these videos? I mean, do you have any say in the concept? What you would
Yeah. It was all our ideas. I wanted to make something similar to the opening scene of the first episode of the first season of the Vikings TV series with that epic battle. Of course, we don't have the budget of anyone in Hollywood, so it's a bit more down to earth what we have done. But that was the basic idea, and yeah, most of it in detail was thought up by our by the video director, Guy H from Iceland.
And you did not survive one of the videos, right?
We all died, but we were resurrected by a privately hired shaman, and here we are.
Great. Okay, so another one that I will try to pronounce, but although it's Latin, the Cosa Lantronum Normanorum. Do you have some
Exactly.
Latin lyrics there too?
Yes, we do. The first literal reference to the Faroe Islands was written in Latin in Ireland in the 700s by a monk called Diquil, and he wrote a book about the known geography of the world at the time, and about the Faroes. He wrote some short phrases. He had heard from his brothers in Scotland who had sailed north and found some islands, and he describes them. Sounds exactly like the Faroes, but he says they have lived there for some years, but now they are uninhabitable because of Norse raiders, and that's what the phrase means: causa latronum normanorum, because of Norse raiders. So we took some phrases from that book and put them in the chorus of the song, and the verses are written in Faroese, and is maybe the same situation seen from the Norse side. So that's the reason for that. But
hearing you describe,
always cool to add a language.
oh yeah, and hearing you describe the process, you mean you did some research, right, with books. You had the orchestration, you had We have the cover artwork. How long would you say this album took in the making?
It was not very intensive work. It was interrupted by many things, but like I said, the one song Välkomna Föringar was written at least 6 years ago, maybe more.
Okay.
And I haven't worked on it nonstop. So if we were working on it intensely, it would take us maybe a year. It's hard to estimate, but then again, I made a completely different project in the meantime. We made the live show. We released the live show in 22. I've moved twice. Tadeusz moved once. Finally, we're all in the same country here. So a lot of things interfered. Then, of course, we had the lockdown. We started our own merch business. We made our own podcast, to stay connected to people and to each other. So there have been many, many interruptions. And we've worked on the album since the last one was finished 5 years ago, off and on.
Honestly, even though you look calm, it sounds like a stressful period to do all this, back to move, write an album, have all this stuff put together.
Yeah, it's been stressful from time to time, but we get stuff done, and it helps when you, even though it's stressful while you do it, when you get it done and you see the result, it reduces your stress, even though you still have a lot of things to do.
So as we said, Tyr is coming to the States, and you said you're gonna add some songs from the new album. And I was trying to look at the set list at your back, but it's too difficult for me.
Maybe if you can zoom in on that.
No, I don't think so. I will try though. So is the plan for Tyr to revisit the States in a year's time? Because I know when you get a visa, you get it for 1 year, maybe.
Yeah. The visa lasts for 13 months, I think. It's best is to use it at least twice. So we definitely hope to maybe do a support tour in the US and North America before the visa expires.
Okay.
If we get the option to do it, we will say yes immediately. It's not it's not that we don't want to come that makes us not come. It's other things get in the way. If we had things our way, we would tour in the US twice a year, every year.
Yeah, I didn't say that you didn't want. So what is in the band's calendar after, I think, your touring ends August 10th? What do you have there after that?
We hope for a European tour. Our team is working on it, and we are pressing them whenever we can to get tours in Europe, in South America, and elsewhere in the world. Also to get more festivals, probably mostly in Europe. And also, I want to make sure that the next album is not 5 years away. So we already started some work on the 10th album. So there'll be more music written and more shows played, and try and get this project on the road properly again, because we haven't done a real tour since 2019.
And you had, I think, I'm not sure I missed that, but you had the 20th anniversary for the debut album 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was 2001. So we made our own festival, Tyrfest, and the first edition was just us playing the anniversary, and the second and third edition we had some other bands with us as well, and we want to make it an annual event. So yeah, that was 20 years since the first album, 23 years since we formed the band in 1998, and it's just gonna be longer and longer. Time only goes one way.
Yes.
More and more anniversaries. We try and make more good music and celebrate our anniversaries with people if they like, as they go by.
Last question. I don't want to take more time from your rehearsing. So you mentioned the project that was Heljareia or something else.
No, that's old. That's much older. It was a different project that I worked on in the meantime.
So
let's not go into that.
Okay. So do you have anything else aside here? I would imagine you don't, but you never know.
Not at the moment. I hope to make more Heljareia. I have one album almost finished and started working on the third album. But when I will get the time to do that, God's only know. No, my main focus at the moment is to get Tyr up and running properly again, and then we will see about other projects. But this is my main focus and only focus at the moment.
Totally understood. Thank you very much for your time. My apologies for messing with Hans's last name.
It's all good, man.
And see you in April in Chicago, man. I have safe travels and great shows.
Thank you, man. See you then, and thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Cheers.